Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to the Conflict Zone YouTube channel. The Ukrainian territory is witnessing increasingly intense fighting every day, as Russian invaders escalate their retaliatory attacks in response to the losses they have suffered. Ukrainian fighters persistently engage in battle against the Russians under all circumstances. The Russian army, which has been experiencing significant casualties for weeks, faced another major setback today due to an effective attack. Now, let's delve into the details of this operation. Ukrainian fighters conducted a reconnaissance operation in the Kyiv region today. Following this mission, they discovered an enemy bunker. Swiftly, the enemy soldiers came under intense fire. The border brigade of the Steel Border Assault Guards, in the Kharkiv region of the temporarily occupied Kyiv region, effectively destroyed an enemy bunker along with personnel. Simultaneously, the aerial reconnaissance team of the 15th Mobile Border Guard Detachment of the Steel Border Guard successfully eliminated an enemy bunker with enemy personnel inside. The Ukrainian fighters managed to neutralize 5 invaders and inflicted injuries upon 2 others. The Russian military is facing an increasing number of casualties on the front line. Investigators allege that Russia is targeting Ukrainian forces with recently manufactured missiles due to the depletion of pre-war stockpiles. Among these missiles is Moscow's new K-69 stealth cruiser missile, designed for precision attacks on fortified targets. According to weapons experts, the serial numbers of these advanced rockets suggest production in the last 3 months of 2023. Andrei Kitki, a former colonel and the head of the Department of Forensic Expertise at the Kyiv Scientific Research Institute, commented, "We know that they have depleted their stockpiles and are using weapons manufactured during the ongoing conflict." In 2 of the most significant airstrikes this year, the Russian army employed the latest rockets produced at the end of 2023. These are akin to freshly manufactured rockets going directly from the factory to the front line. Kitki's lab contains a significant collection of damaged Russian rockets, drones, and missiles, including the remnants of the Kh-32 missile that struck the northeastern region of Ukraine last month. This missile is the latest addition to Russia's arsenal, with the captured Kh-32 bearing the number 33, indicating production in the 3rd quarter of the previous year. The air-to-ground cruise missile, which can be equipped with a penetrator or cluster warhead, was first showcased outside Russia at the Dubai Air Show in November. However, there are concerns that Moscow might allow its ally, North Korea, to fill the gap in its weapons stockpile. Ukraine's intelligence service recently disclosed that Vladimir Putin's forces utilized at least 20 ballistic missiles supplied by Pyongyang in attacks on Ukraine since late December. This indicates Kim Jong-un's inclination to replenish Russia's diminishing arsenal. Military analyst Michael Clark shared with the press that Russia foresees the need for 4 million artillery shells this year, with an anticipated 2 million to be procured from North Korea. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has reported the loss of 31,000 Ukrainian soldiers in the conflict over the 2 years since Russia initiated its full-scale invasion. Zelensky has consistently urged Western allies for increased military support. However, the aid bill, which received Senate approval with a $60 billion aid package for Kyiv, faces uncertainty in the House of Representatives. The Senate's endorsement of the aid package occurred last week, following the collapse of a broader framework that would have linked aid to changes in American border policies. The Senate, with a vote of 70 to 29 and support from 22 Republicans, quickly passed only the foreign aid portion. Nevertheless, the path forward in the House remains unclear, as Johnson RL has yet to provide a plan for its passage. Former President Trump has voiced opposition to the aid package and encouraged Republicans to vote against it. Later in the day, Ukrainian fighters continued to inflict damage on the enemy. 4 soldiers from the Asa Guard successfully halted an enemy assault column, which included 3 armored personnel carriers, near Robotin in Zaipia. Interior Minister Yersenko provided details of the operation, wherein soldiers from the Sparta Assault Guards Brigade engaged the enemy. Despite facing challenges, these soldiers emerged victorious, destroying the enemy's armored personnel carriers and providing fire support to eliminate the remaining invaders. Over the past week, the enemy has suffered significant losses, including over 6,000 personnel, 44 tanks, 4 aircraft, 10 air defense systems, 447 drones, and 21 cruise missiles. Fire partisans later announced a successful interception of Russian tanks stationed at a train station in Yevpatoria, Crimea. This interception is expected to hinder the Kremlin's armored advances in the Zaporozhye region. The fire partisans observed a notable reduction in the number of tanks at the Tovara station in Yevpatoria, noting that some tanks deployed there had already been dispatched to the front lines. This action was taken due to a shortage of heavy equipment in the failed offensive operations of Russian troops in the Zaporozhye region. On February 23, agents of the fire partisan movement documented the arrival of a significant fleet of Russian tanks at the Yevpatoria railway station in occupied Crimea, emphasizing that the successful actions of the armed forces of Ukraine on the front line compelled the occupiers to exhaust their reserves. Atesh closely monitored the unloading process of tanks at Yevpia's Tovara station, where his agent counted more than 30 T-62 tanks. These are Soviet-era tanks built before 1975 and are now decommissioned in Russia. The absence of new tank models on the battlefield and their replacement with older ones would significantly reduce the invaders' firepower. Additionally, fire agents overheard conversations among Russian soldiers in the Crimean village of Vardys. These conversations revealed the reluctance of Russian troops to deploy to Kinki in the Khyran region or Robotin in Zaporozhye region, citing serious losses suffered by Kremlin forces in these areas. Earlier, members of the fire partisan movement published a report detailing their surveillance of fortifications and military units of Russian troops in occupied Crimea. The partisans closely observed Russia's construction progress and strategic defense plans, noting the constant efforts of Russian forces to strengthen their position in the occupied territories. Simultaneously, French President Emmanuel Macron initiated preparations for a significant development. 2 years after the Russian invasion, Macron will host European leaders for a conference aimed at bolstering Western support for Ukraine. The French presidency stated that the meeting in Paris provides an opportunity for participants to reaffirm their unity and determination to defeat Russia's war of aggression in Ukraine. It also signifies Macron's readiness to position himself as the European champion supporting Ukraine's cause, amid growing concerns that American support may diminish in the coming years. Commemorating 2 years since the conflict began, Macron wrote, "Battered and bruised but still standing, Ukraine is fighting for itself, for its ideals, for our Europe. Our commitment on her side will not waver." For Macron, the conference provides an opportunity to showcase Europe's autonomy on security issues, a stance he advocated even before the invasion. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Polish President Andrzej Duda will be among the 20 or so European heads of state and government present at the conference. It will commence with a video address by Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Other states will be represented at the ministerial level, and Foreign Secretary David Cameron will travel to Paris on behalf of the UK. The US and Canada will also have representation. According to the French presidency, the meeting will explore all means to effectively support Ukraine. Western officials acknowledge that Russia could gain the upper hand in the conflict in 2024 as Ukraine faces shortages of weapons and ammunition. Ukraine's defense minister Rustem Umerov expressed concern that half of the military aid promised by the West to Kyiv has been delivered late, and the pledge does not ensure delivery. Disclosing the extent of Ukraine's human losses, Zelensky stated that 31,000 Ukrainian soldiers have lost their lives in the war with Russia. A French presidential official, requesting anonymity, stated that the meeting aims to counter the impression that the situation is worsening after Ukraine's defeats on the battlefield. Thank you for tuning in.